Optima for the Russian market was equipped with 3 engines. The 2-liter G4ND with a power of 150 horsepower was considered basic. And only with this engine it was possible to get a 6-speed manual transmission. For an additional fee, Optima 2.0 was equipped with a classic automatic with the same number of gears. The other 2 engines are the naturally aspirated G4KJ with a volume of 2.4 liters, 188 horsepower, and the turbocharged 2.0 G4KH for the GT version, which developed 245 horsepower. These engines were paired exclusively with a 6-speed automatic transmission. Hybrid and diesel versions were not officially supplied to our market. Optima was restyled in 2018, and it was purely cosmetic. During the update, the radiator grille, optics, multimedia system, and steering wheel changed. Just 2 years later, the Optima was replaced by a sedan called the K5. Regardless of the year of manufacture, the easiest way to find a Kia with a 2.4 engine and automatic transmission. Prices for pre-restyling sedans start at about 1 million rubles, but at the bottom of the market, many taxi cars are sold. Instances with mileages up to 100,000 kilometers cost 1.5 to 2 times more expensive. The turbocharged Optima GT is a beautiful, but rare thing. Only about 150 of these cars are sold on avto.ru, approximately equally pre-restyling and updated. The most inexpensive copies of the first years of production cost approximately 1.2 million rubles. A car in decent condition can be bought, give or take, for 1.7 to 1.8 million rubles. And prices for the most expensive copies reach 2.4 million. If the sedan body does not have any additional protection, then there will be a lot of chips and scratches. They appear most quickly on the bumper, hood, roof pillars, and wheel arches. External chrome is not particularly durable, but fortunately there is not much of it. The capital specimens suffer the most from this disease due to winter chemicals on the roads. It is worth carefully inspecting the junction of the rear wings with the lights, due to the peculiarities of the Russian assembly. In these places the paintwork is often rubbed down to metal. So traces of repainting on the rear fenders do not always indicate an accident in the car's past. In the earliest examples, the paint on the roof and A-pillars may begin to swell. When examining the Optima from behind, you need to pay attention to the plastic lining of the trunk lid, where the license plate is located. This part often cracks in the area of the rear lights, usually in cold weather, after a sharp temperature change. Due to leaks in the trunk lid, water can flow inside, and this leads to corrosion in the light wiring connectors. There are also complaints about the body equipment. For example, headlight glasses quickly wear out, but there are also complaints about the tightness of the optics. The original windshield is not durable, cracks are often found in the heating zone of the wipers. Among the minor sores is the short service life of door opening angle limiters, trunk lock buttons and parking sensors. There are no special complaints about the electrics, but the main problem in the cabin is the insufficient strength of the eco-leather upholstery. Creases quickly appear on it, including in places of contact with plastic, and the side support of the driver's seat is also worn out. Some owners even decide to reupholster the seats with higher quality leather. Finally, the Optima chairs do not hold their shape well and sag quickly. The main problem with all engines is the risk of scoring in the cylinders. This problem is not universal, but it does occur. It occurs least often on units manufactured after 2017, when additional oil nozzles were introduced into the engines to prevent local overheating of the pistons. The 2-liter G4ND engine may exhibit an increased oil appetite due to the presence of piston rings. On this engine they are very narrow and quickly coke. G4ND also has problems with the CVVL valve lift system. The life of the timing chain directly depends on driving style. With careful operation, it may require replacement only after 200,000 kilometers. It is also worth paying attention to oil and coolant leaks. Due to weak gaskets, as well as the low life of the water pump and attachments, this happens quite often. The 2.4-liter G4KJ engine has an aluminum block with an open cooling jacket and rather thin cast iron liners that lose their shape at the slightest overheating. Often this engine suffers from oil leakage through the cover seal or the ECVVT phase regulator clutch plug, which leads to system failure. Symptoms are a noticeable loss of traction and, of course, a burning check engine. There was even a recall campaign on this issue. Also, the G4KJ, unlike the G4TV, equipped with direct injection, suffers from carbon deposits on the valves and regular oil leaks from under the valve cover and crankshaft seals. With proper maintenance, both Optima naturally aspirated engines demonstrate a service life of up to 300,000 kilometers. In theory, similar performance can be achieved from the turbocharged G4KH. But it is worth remembering that this engine is very demanding on the quality of the oil and the schedule for its replacement. Otherwise, there is a risk of the liners rotating. Other problems are similar to G4KJ. These are intake valves that quickly become overgrown with carbon deposits and oil leaks on the ECVVT phase regulator. Also, the timing chain of a turbo engine does not last too long. The rare 6-speed manual transmission M6CF3 is quite reliable, only the shift mechanism cables stretch quickly. But the automatic versions of the A6 series, which have been produced since 2009 and are installed on various Hyundai Kia models, each engine had its own. The valve body of these boxes is sensitive to the purity of the oil, so it is worth changing it more often than prescribed in the passport. And if you update the lubricant strictly according to the regulations, the valve body channels will quickly become clogged, and strong shocks and jerks will appear when switching. In the worst-case scenario, this can lead to oil starvation and transmission failure. Other weak points of the automatic transmission are the wiring of the solenoids, speed, and temperature sensors. It is also worth taking care of the box pallet. It is easy to break through a broken primer. The Optima's suspension turned out to be reliable. In a Korean sedan, even the stabilizer struts and bushings can withstand 100,000 kilometers. But, when loading the trunk to capacity, it is worth remembering that the rear springs do not like overload. The life of the front brakes is short, but given their low cost and large number of analogs, this is a small problem. Finally, when choosing a Kia Optima, you need to carefully check the authenticity of the VIN number. For a sedan, the main plate is located under the passenger seat. The model was very popular among car thieves, was often used in taxis, and due to its popularity among young drivers, it often got into accidents. Specimens written off due to age or restored after an accident can attract attention with their external luster and be sold at a very tempting price. The Kia Optima is a good-looking, spacious, fun-to-drive sedan. Technically, the Korean brand has produced a fairly strong car with reliable gearboxes and a durable suspension. Only engines can cause big trouble. And even if the problem with scuffing is not widespread, endoscopy of the cylinders when purchasing an Optima is highly recommended. The optimal version in terms of reliability, dynamics, subsequent maintenance costs and potential liquidity is the restyled Kia Optima 2.4 sedan.